Hi students, welcome to Physics Medicine channel by Pradap Naidu. Our topic is rotational motion. I have divided this topic into two parts, part 1 and part 2. So now let us consider part 1 here. So introduction, first one. So rotational motion can be divided into two categories. One is the kinematics part, other one is dynamics part. So for kinematics part, refer kinematics of circular motion. Okay. Next one, dynamics of rotational motion. It is the analog of dynamics of linear motion. So whatever you have learned in linear motion, the same things will be repeated here in a rotational motion here. See, for example, kinematic variables for linear motion, displacement S, linear velocity V, acceleration A. In the rotational motion, angular displacement theta, angular velocity omega, angular acceleration alpha. Okay. Next, dynamic variables. So what are the physical quantities we are using in dynamics part? Linear category, linear dynamics. Mass, M for mass, F is force, A is acceleration, P linear momentum, K kinetic energy, and J for impulse. They are rotational analogs. Rotational analog of mass is moment of inertia I. Rotational analog of force, linear force is torque tau. Rotational analog of linear acceleration A is angular acceleration alpha. For momentum it is angular momentum L. For kinetic energy it is K. For impulse it is J. Okay. So we can use suffix kr, r as suffix for K and J here to designate them from their linear variables, counterparts. See here, this is I for moment of inertia, torque tau, torque, alpha angular acceleration, L angular momentum, K rotational kinetic energy, J angular impulse. These are dynamic relations. These are just variables. We have considered only variables here. So what variables we will be dealing with? So now these are relations. See, in linear dynamics, what are the relations here? F equal to ma, F equal to ma, P equal to mv, linear momentum equal to mass into velocity, force F equal to dp by dt, LCLM, law of conservation of linear momentum, kinetic energy K equal to P square by 2m, where P is linear momentum, m is mass, impulse J equal to F dt, where F is a large force acting for a small or infinitesimally small time interval dt. There, the same equations we will be having for rotational motion. See here, tau equal to I alpha. For F equal to ma, tau equal to I alpha. For P equal to mv, L equal to I omega. For F equal to dp by dt, tau equal to dl by dt. For LCLM, LCAM. For kinetic energy, K equal to L square by 2I. And for impulse, J equal to tau dt. So these are the things here. Okay. So just to give you clarity regarding the linear and angular motion, I have given this part here. Next, what are the topics we are going to deal now? The topics are, again I have divided these topics into two parts here. One is set A, other one is set B. Set A consists of moment of inertia I, torque tau, angular momentum L, rotational kinetic energy K, and angular impulse JR. An angular impulse JR. Set B. Set B consists of relations here. Tau equal to I alpha. This is just like F equal to ma. That is Newton's second law. L equal to I omega. P equal to mv. It is a rotational analog of P equal to mv. L equal to I omega. And here it is a tau equal to dl by dt. It is a rotational analog of F equal to dp by dt, that is Newton's second law. First one, the sixth one and eighth one, these are Newton's second rotational analogues of Newton's second law. F equal to ma, and this is F equal to dp by dt. Okay, and here next one is LCAM, 10th one, K equal to L square by 2I, kinetic energy and angular momentum relation. Impulse J equal to tau dt, again it has come here, I repeated by mistake here. Okay, leave it. Next, 12th one, work and power in rotational dynamics. 13th, moment of inertia of some regular bodies and theorems. Theorems means parallel axis theorem and perpendicular axis theorem to find the moment of inertia. And the last one is the radius of gyration. All the remaining topics, they will be included in part 2. So first let us complete part 1 here. Okay, see, first one is moment of inertia. The first one is moment of inertia. So by definition, I equal to mr square. What is m here? Suppose this is the axis of rotation, this is axis of rotation, this is a point mass here. A point mass is rotating about this axis, its distance is perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation is r here. So in this case, what is the moment of inertia? You know, in linear dynamics, what role is played by mass, the same role will be played by the moment of inertia. That is, for if a body is in state of rest, it is difficult to keep it in motion. If a body is already in motion, it is difficult to change its state of motion. Similarly, here it is difficult, if any body is in state of rest, it is difficult to keep it in rotational motion, or if it is already in rotational motion, it is difficult to stop it, bring it to rest. Some external agency is required. Okay, so there what role the mass is playing here, that moment of inertia is playing the same role here. Therefore moment of inertia is the rotational analog of mass. Okay, or inertia, there we call it as inertia, no? Newton's first law, inertia. So that same role is played by here moment of inertia. Inertia for linear motion or linear dynamics, and moment of inertia for rotational dynamics. Okay, so I equal to mr square. M is point mass and r is the perpendicular distance of point mass from the axis of rotation. So next one, what if there are many if you consider a system of particles, m1, m2, m3, m4, system of particles at different distances from the axis of rotation, r1, r2, r3, r4, etc. In this case, I equal to summation over mi ri square, that equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square plus so on, like this. Okay, for continuous mass distribution, here we have considered only discrete point masses. So what if there is a continuous mass distribution, for example a ring, a disc, a solid cylinder, a hollow cylinder, a spherical shell, all these are continuous mass distributions. In that case, how can we find moment of inertia? So moment of inertia, it can be found by this, I equal to integral r square dm. We consider a small, infinitesimally small mass dm. Okay, its distance is r square here, so we integrate this one, I equal to integral r square dm. It gives us the required value. So note, moment of inertia is rotational analog of mass in linear motion. Okay, SI unit kg meter square. Moment of inertia is a scalar. Okay, next one is the torque. So torque symbol is tau. So suppose let us consider a massless rod here, at the end of which a point mass m is attached here. So on this, let us apply a force F in this direction, a force F, such that this force F makes an angle theta with the radius vector. This is the radius vector. Let us extend this one in this direction. So this force is making an angle theta here. So this force is resolved into two components. One is the tangential component, other one is the radial component. Why we are calling this one as tangential and this one as radial component? Because if a force is applied in this direction, this particle it makes a circular motion along this dotted line here. So this is the tangential component, this is radial component. Check here, this radial component is not helping this particle for its circular motion, whereas only tangential force is helping for its circular motion here. So what is torque? So I am defining torque with the two definitions here. This definition one is familiar, which you learn. This definition two is this is my idea now I am giving here. So definition one, torque equal to force into perpendicular distance of line of action of force from axis of rotation. So force, this is force, into perpendicular distance of line of action of this force. This is line of action of this force, no? This is the line of action of the force. So this is the axis of rotation. From axis of rotation, what is the perpendicular distance of this line of action of force? This one. This is nothing but r sine theta. This is r, this is theta. So this is r sine theta. So torque equal to force into F into r sine theta. You know this one. Here r sine theta is called as, here r sine theta is called as momentum, or it is known as lever arm. So definition 2, torque equal to tangential force into perpendicular distance of tangential force from the axis of rotation. See here, because here, see, in this definition, this force is this actual the original force which is applied here. But here in this definition I am considering this tangential force, because this radial force has nothing to do with the rotational motion. Only this tangential force is responsible for the rotational motion here. So I am considering this one. So torque tau equal to tangential force into perpendicular distance of the tangential force from the axis of rotation. See here, what is Ft? Ft equal to F sin theta. See, we are getting here torque tau equal to Ftr, that equal F sin theta into r. Both of them are same. In vector notation, tau bar equal to r bar cross F bar. Okay. Here F bar is not Ft. So this F bar is not tangential force. This is the original force acting on the mass here. Okay. No need of any confusion. Okay. It is original force acting. SI unit is Newton meter. Or special case, couple. A pair of equal and opposite forces whose lines of action are separated by a certain distance. Okay, such a pair is known as a couple here. So then how can we find the torque due to a couple? Torque due to couple equal to either of forces into perpendicular distance between their lines of action. So let us check how can we find this one. Suppose this is a body here, this is hinged at some position, at any position, need not be at mid position, let it be at any position, let the body be hinged. So here two forces are acting like this. In this case, what is the torque here? Torque tau equal to either of the force F into the perpendicular distance d between the forces. See here, since the forces are perpendicular to the length of the rod here, so d itself is the perpendicular distance between the rods. Forces. So tau equal to Fd. Suppose, now see, the rod is like this and forces are acting like this here. See, the length of the rod, it is making angle theta. So this is F sin theta, this is F cos theta here. See, the rod will be rotating like this, no, in this direction. So this F cos theta, which is considered to be Fr, is not having any role in its circular motion. It is a rotational motion. Here Ft is having its role in rotational motion. So tau, I am writing tau equal to that part of that component of force which is actually responsible for the rotational motion. What here? That is F sin theta into d, or tau equal to Ft into d. Okay, that is the tangential component of force which is actually responsible. Okay, so tau equal to Ft into d here. Next, angular momentum L. This is angular momentum L. So let us consider here the same situation as we considered before. So this is the linear momentum in this direction. Here two components are there. One is tangential component Pt and radial component Pr. As you know, this radial component has no role in its rotational motion, but only this tangential component is having here. So by definition, this angular momentum L bar equal to r bar cross P bar, where r bar is the radius vector of this mass m. This point mass is the given mass here. So this is a massless rigid rod here. This is a massless rod, at the end of which we are considering a point mass here. Okay, so L bar, by definition, L bar equal to r bar cross P bar. What is r bar? Radius vector. What is P bar? Linear momentum. This one. So L equal to R into P into sin theta by definition of vector multiplication. So this L equal to P into R sin theta. We can write like this, no? So angular momentum L equal to P into R sin theta. What is R sin theta here? Momentum. It is called as momentum, or it is called as lever arm. So here, or L equal to P into R sin theta can be written as R into P sin theta. So that is L equal to R into PT. What is P sin theta? This is nothing but PT here. So PR is P cos theta and PT is P sin theta. So this is L equal to R into P sin theta, or L equal to R PT. Okay, SI unit is kg meter square per second. Next one, rotational kinetic energy. Rotational kinetic energy. See here, let us consider any body here. This Mi is, let us choose any point mass Mi. It consists of several masses, infinite number of masses. We are choosing one mass Mi. Its velocity is Vi. Its distance from the axis of rotation is Ri here. So what is kinetic energy of this ith particle? Ki equal to half Mi Vi square. That equal to half Mi. What is Vi? What is V here? This is the tangential velocity. See, this particle is making a circular motion, no? So this is the tangential velocity here. So we know V equal to R omega. Therefore, Vi equal to Ri omega. Therefore, Vi square equal to Ri square omega square. So this is equal to half Mi Ri square into omega square. That equal to half I omega square, moment of inertia of ith particle, because Mi Ri square. Mr square is moment of inertia, I know. Therefore, Mi Ri square equal to I. So this is omega square. So this is kinetic energy of ith particle. So what is total kinetic energy? Kr equal to summation over half I omega square. Therefore, Kr equal to half I omega square. I is the moment of inertia of the entire body. Okay. Next, angular impulse J. If torque equal to constant, what is angular impulse J equal to tau delta T. Okay, angular impulse equal to, in linear impulse equal to force into time. So here, time interval, here angular impulse J equal to tau into delta T. If tau is variable, then angular impulse J equal to integral T1 to T2 tau dt. And note here, area of torque and time graph gives angular momentum L. Area of force and time gives us linear momentum P. Here, area of torque and time gives us angular momentum L here. J is a vector in the direction of tau here, because J here, this torque is a vector quantity and this delta T time is a scalar quantity. Therefore, J bar equal to tau bar, delta T into tau bar. So it is in the direction of tau bar. Okay. Next one, torque tau and angular acceleration alpha. Torque tau and angular acceleration alpha here. So we know that tau equal to FTR. Torque equal to, what is torque? Torque equal to tangential force into the radius vector. Okay. So torque tau equal to FTR, that equal to MAT. FT, tangential force equal to MAT into this R. So this is equal to M into, what is AT? R alpha. Tangential acceleration AT equal to R alpha. In kinematics of circular motion, we learned this. So M into R alpha into R. So this is equal to MR square into alpha. Therefore, torque tau equal to, what is MR square? Moment of inertia I. Therefore, torque tau equal to I alpha. In vector notation, tau bar equal to I alpha bar. Note point is that tau equal to I alpha is rotational analog of Newton's second law, F equal to ma. Okay, F equal to ma. For F, rotational analog is tau. For M, I. For A, angular acceleration alpha. So next, angular momentum L. Rotational analog of linear momentum P. What is L? It is rotational analog of linear momentum P. We know that L bar equal to R bar cross P bar. Angular momentum vector equal to radius vector cross linear momentum vector. So L equal to R P sin theta. R bar cross P bar equal to R into P into sin theta by definition of vector multiplication. So this equal to this implies L equal to R into what is P sin theta from our previous knowledge. See this one. P sin theta is nothing but PT here. So this is PT. So therefore that implies L equal to R into what is the PT? PT equal to mv here. P equal to linear momentum. So this is the tangential, which is actually responsible for this rotational motion. So what is this? PT equal to mv. What is this v? This is tangential speed. Okay. So v is the tangential speed here. L equal to, I am writing like this, mvr. So this is equal to m into what is v? V tangential speed, v equal to r omega into r. So this is equal to m r square omega. So please go through this kinematics of circular motion. Okay, before going through this chapter, please go through that one. So L equal to mr square omega, but mr square is moment of inertia I, therefore L equal to I omega. In vector notation, L bar equal to I omega bar. I is a scalar quantity here. So note L equal to I omega is the rotational analog of P equal to mv. See, P is linear momentum, L is angular momentum. Mass, moment of inertia, linear velocity, angular velocity. So L equal to I omega. Okay. Next one. Torque and angular momentum L. So here torque tau and angular momentum L. What are linear in linear cases? In the place of torque, force and momentum P, F and P. What do you know? Relation between F and P, F equal to dP by dt, Newton's second law. So the same thing happens here. We know that L bar equal to R bar cross P bar. Angular momentum vector equal to radius vector cross linear momentum vector. L bar equal to R bar cross P bar. That implies we are differentiating this entire expression here with respect to time here. Therefore dl bar by dt equal to, so here partial differentiating this one, R bar cross dP bar by dt plus dr bar by dt cross P bar. So this dr bar by dt equal to 0. Okay, because the radius does not change as here, no? So it is equal to 0. So dl bar by dt equal to R bar cross F bar, because dP bar by dt is F bar. Okay, so this is equal to tau bar. You know, R bar cross F bar equal to torque. Torque tau bar equal to R bar cross F bar. So therefore torque tau bar equal to dl bar by dt. So note, tau equal to dl by dt is rotational analog of F equal to dP by dt. That is Newton's second law. Next one, LCAM, law of conservation of angular momentum. So we know that tau bar equal to dl bar by dt. Tau bar equal to dl bar by dt. Similarly, this is its a linear analog is F bar equal to dP bar by dt. That is Newton's second law. So if tau bar equal to 0, that is torque is equal to 0, external torque acting on the body is 0, then what happens to this one? dl bar by dt equal to 0. So numerator term dl bar equal to 0. So if dl bar equal to 0, what is dl bar? Change in angular momentum is 0. Change is 0 means what? There is no change. That means angular momentum L bar equal to constant. It is not changing. That is, if tau bar equal to 0, L bar equal to constant. So this is law of conservation of angular momentum. Angular momentum is conserved if net external torque acting on the body is 0. Similarly, you know, LCLM, law of conservation of linear momentum. When external force acting on a body is 0, net external force acting on a body is 0, its the linear momentum is conserved. So similarly here we are getting it's the angular law of conservation of angular momentum. So next one, this is rotational analog of LCLM. Okay, next 10th one, rotational kinetic energy Kr and angular momentum L. So kinetic energy and angular momentum, you know, kinetic energy and linear momentum P. Similarly here kinetic energy and angular momentum, you know, L equal to I omega. So rotational kinetic energy K equal to half I omega square. So therefore Kr equal to L square by 2I. In linear motion K equal to P square by 2m. So here it is K equal to Kr equal to L square by 2I. This is the rotational analog of K equal to P square by 2m. Okay. Next one, work and power in rotational dynamics. If torque tau equal to constant, the W work done equal to tau into delta theta. And if tau equal to variable, work done is given as integral theta 1 to theta 2 tau d theta, because this tau is acting and rotating the body. Okay. Next one, work energy theorem. So in linear motion, you know, there is work energy theorem in work energy power chapter. So what is that one? If the work done on a body is equal to change in the kinetic energy of the body. So here also the same thing happens. The work done equal to final rotational kinetic energy minus initial rotational kinetic energy. So this is equal to half I omega 2 square minus half I omega 1 square. So this work done W equal to half I into omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. This is work energy theorem. Okay, next one is power. You know, power is a scalar quantity, and power can be expressed as P equal to tau bar dot omega bar. So in linear motion, linear dynamics, what is power? Power equal to F bar dot V bar. So here it is the power equal to tau bar dot omega bar. In the place of F, tau; in the place of V, omega. So this is rotational analog of power P equal to F bar dot V bar. Moment of inertia of some rigid bodies here. The first one is a thin uniform rod of mass m and length L. See here, let us consider a rod here, thin rod. Let us consider two axes here. One is passing through its center of mass and perpendicular to its length. Here, passing through end of the rod, and it is perpendicular to the length only. So axes are perpendicular to the length only, but one is passing through, in one case it is passing through center of mass, in another case it is passing through end of the rod. So for the axis passing through center of mass, ICM, moment of inertia, ICM equal how much? ml square by 12. So for end axis passing through its end point, I equal to ml square by 3. So next one, a thin uniform ring of mass m and radius r. So this is, we are considering a thin uniform ring. Again, two cases here. One is it's a geometrical axis which is passing through center of the ring as well as normal to the plane of the ring here. So another one is a diametrical axis. So this axis is known as geometrical axis. So for this one, moment of inertia for this one is mr square, and it is for a diametrical axis it is half of this one, half mr square. So moment of inertia which is greater here, for geometrical axis it is greater. Okay. So next one, a thin uniform disc of mass m and radius r. Again two axes. This is the geometrical axis, this is diametrical axis. About geometrical axis, how much? I equal half mr square. About this one, half of this one, that is 1/4 of mr square. See here also for ring it is, for geometrical axis it is mr square, for diametrical axis it is half of mr square. And for disc, for geometrical axis it is half mr square, for diametrical axis it is 1/4 of mr square. Next one, uniform cylinder of mass m and radius r and length L. See, we are considering a uniform cylinder here of length L and radius r, and mass is m here. Solid hollow cylinder and solid cylinder. So for hollow cylinder, this is geometrical axis, so which is passing through center of the cylinder and normal to the end caps. This axis is known as geometrical axis, and this axis is this is not geometrical axis. Okay, this is cutting the length of the cylinder at its midpoint here. Okay, it is perpendicular to the length of the cylinder here. So for this one, I equal to mr square, and for this one, I equal to, so see, this is I equal to mr square. So just like a ring, what is the moment of inertia for ring? I equal to mr square. See, the same formula you are getting here, so you can easily remember this one. Also, this axis is, we can imagine the hollow cylinder to be made up of several thin rings here. So this axis is passing through, this axis is geometrical axis for each ring here. So the same formula we are getting, I equal to mr square. Remember in this way here. But what about this axis? We can consider this one as a rod here, and this is cutting this rod at midpoint and perpendicular to this rod here. So therefore we are getting L square by 12. And also this is geometrical axis for a ring here. You know, for a ring, for a geometrical axis of a ring, what is moment of inertia? I equal to half mr square. See, This is a combination of this one here. I equal to ml square by 12 plus mr square by 2, half mr square. So what in that way you can remember these things here. So a hollow cylinder means a set of hollow rings, circular rings. So next one is a solid cylinder. So you can imagine solid cylinder to be set of piled discs, circular discs here. So in this case, for geometrical axis, I equal to what? I equal to half mr square. For disc also it is half mr square. No, the same formula we will be getting here. And in this case, for this type of axis, so here it is cutting the length as well as it is the geometrical axis to the disc. So I equal to m l square by 12 plus r square by 4. For diametrical axis of a disc, circular disc, what is moment of inertia? I equal to 1 by 4 mr square. So you can easily remember this one, hollow cylinder and solid cylinder. Okay, for geometrical axis, hollow cylinder it is equivalent to that of circular ring. For solid cylinder, for geometrical axis, it is equivalent to that of circular disc. Okay, next one. A uniform solid sphere of mass m and radius r. It is a solid sphere here. Its mass is m and its radius is capital R. I equal to moment of inertia about an axis passing through its center of mass. It is given as I equal to 2 by 5 mr square. While if we consider a thin spherical shell here for an axis passing through its center of mass, I equal to 2/3 of mr square. So which is greater here? Spherical shell. It is difficult to rotate a spherical shell than a solid sphere whose masses are same here. Okay. So 2 by 5 mr square and 2 by 3 mr square here. So next one, a thin square plate of mass m. So this is a square plate of side A here. So this is the axis. Axis is lying in the plane, okay, passing through its center of mass and passing through its center of mass, lying in the plane and cutting the edge normally in normal direction. So in this case, I equal to ma square by 12. See, it is cutting this length. What is the length of this rod here? This is a. So remember in that way, I equal to ma square by 12. A thin uniform rectangular plate. A thin uniform rectangular plate of mass capital M here. So this is rectangular plate of length L and breadth is capital B. So here we are considering one axis. This is about x-axis, which is passing through center of mass. Another one is y-axis, which is passing through center of mass of the rectangular lamina here. So moment of inertia about x-axis. See, x-axis is cutting breadth but not length here. Therefore, Ix equal to mb square by 12 because it is cutting b breadth. Similarly, moment of inertia about this y-axis. Iy equal to it is cutting what? It is cutting length. Therefore, Iy equal to ml square by 12. So you can easily remember this one. Square as well as rectangular lamina, where the axis of rotation they lie in the plane of the laminas. So next one, any triangular plate of mass m and height h. See, let us take any triangular plate. Let it be any triangle, isosceles, equilateral, any triangle. Let it be any triangle. So its height is h. Suppose if this is the base and if its height is h, then for an axis passing through center of mass and parallel to the base, let us consider an axis passing through center of mass and parallel to the base. And this axis is lying in the lamina of the triangle here. In this case, moment of inertia I equal to m by 18 into h square. An axis coinciding with the base. Let us consider an axis which is coinciding with the base. In this case, what is moment of inertia? I equal to m by 6 h square. Next one is a rectangular parallelepiped of mass m, length L, width b and height h. See, this is a rectangular parallelepiped, length L, breadth or width b and height is h here. So parallel to length L. So let us consider an axis which is passing through center of mass of this one and parallel to this length L. That means it is not cutting length L, instead it is cutting this breadth part as well as height part. So therefore we are getting breadth and height in the formula. I equal to M. So breadth is the length and height is the length, no? So we are getting 12 here. So I equal to M into B square by 12, MB square by 12 plus M H square by 12. So this can be written as I equal to M into B square plus H square by 12. So next one, parallel to the width B. So this one, parallel to width B. So in this case, it is not cutting B, but it is cutting length as well as height here. So therefore, parallel to B means B will be vanishing here. So I equal to M into L square plus H square by 12. Next one, parallel to height H. So height will be vanishing here, L and B. So I equal to M into L square plus B square by 12. So the last one is a cube of mass M and edge A. See, we are considering a cube here. In this case, an axis passing through a center of mass. Okay, and now axis passing through a center of mass and must be perpendicular or parallel to the opposite sets of faces. So for example, let us consider an axis like this or axis like this. It must be normal to the faces. So if this axis is normal to the normal to up and lower faces, it will be parallel to these side faces like that. Okay. So for that case, I equal to, in this case, if it is a parallel to this one, it is cutting this one length and width here. So we'll be getting, so out of three things here, three sides, this one and this one will be missing and the remaining two will be there here, as we have seen in this case, rectangular parallel piped. So if it is parallel to length, in the formula you will be getting B and H. If it is parallel to B, you will be getting L and H. If it is parallel to H, you will be getting L and B here. Similarly, here, since all these are equal, one A will be missing, there will be two A's here. I equal to M into A square plus A square by 12, or this is equal to M A square by 6. Okay, I think you can easily memorize this formula now. Next one is theorems. So theorems of moment of inertia. So okay, the above formulae, they correspond to standard bodies there and standard axis we have considered. So what if a body is given to us and we have to find the moment of inertia about any axis? So in this case, these two theorems, they come in handy. So the first theorem is parallel axis theorem and the second one is perpendicular axis theorem. Okay, you are having derivations regarding this. So simply I will explain these things in a very simple way here. See, first one is parallel axis theorem. This theorem relates moment of inertia about two parallel axes as. So what is a parallel axis theorem? In the name itself, it is revealing no parallel axis. There are two parallel axes. See here, let us consider this body. This is any rigid body here. So we are considering two axes here. These are parallel axes. This theorem relates moment of inertia about two parallel axes. So moment of inertia about this axis, moment of inertia about this axis. So how they are related, let us see. I1-1. So this is axis 1, 1. I11 equal to I center of mass plus md square. So of these two parallel axes, one must be passing through center of mass. Okay. So moment of inertia about this axis is equal to moment of inertia about a parallel axis, parallel to this one, which is passing through center of mass, plus mass of the body into d square. What is d? D is the perpendicular distance between the two parallel axes. So keep in mind, out of the two parallel axes, one must be passing through center of mass of the body. Okay. To apply this theorem, it should be ensured that the axes are parallel and one axis must pass through center of mass. Okay. This is very simple. This is parallel axis theorem. So if moment of inertia about any axis is required here, just choose a parallel axis which is passing through center of mass. It's enough. Then you can use this one. Moment of inertia about this axis, required axis, is equal to moment of inertia about the center of mass, moment of inertia with respect to axis which is passing through center of mass plus md square. You can apply this one. So in this way you can find out. So second one is perpendicular axis theorem. So in the name itself it is there, the axes we choose, they are perpendicular to each other. This theorem is applicable for two-dimensional bodies, example ring, disc, etc. So this is applicable for three-dimensional body, any three-dimensional rigid body, but perpendicular axis theorem, it is applicable for plane laminas like rings, discs, like that. Okay. So consider a plane lamina in xy plane. Okay. Let us consider two axes. This is one axis 1 and this is second axis 2. Let us consider two axes 1 1 and 2 2 passing through a point A here. See, this axis and this axis, both of them are passing through same point A here. A third axis 3 3 is also passing through A and perpendicular to both these two axes. So how it is possible? Since these two are lying in the plane, what is one more axis which is passing through the same point and perpendicular to the plane here? It is like this here. So in this case, the moment of inertia about this perpendicular axis I33 equal to I11 plus I22. It is enough. Simply choose a plane laminar body. Choose three axes here, three perpendicular axes. So moment of inertia about this axis, the one which is perpendicular to the plane lamina, I33 equal to I11 plus I22. See, I11 and I22, they are lying in the plane laminar body here. For example, this is our Iz equal to Ix plus Iy. So since this body is lying in xy plane, one axis will be, we can choose the x-axis as one axis and y-axis as another axis. Therefore, z-axis will be mutually perpendicular to this x and y-axis. So Iz equal to Ix plus Iy. So using this one, we can find the moment of inertia of any plane laminar body. So note, there is a note point here. To apply this theorem, it is not necessary that the axis must pass through center of mass. So in parallel axis theorem, one of the two parallel axes must pass through the center of mass. But in perpendicular axis theorem, no need to consider center of mass. The axis of rotation need not pass through center of mass. Okay. So there it is, for parallel axis theorem, we consider a three-dimensional body, and for perpendicular axis theorem, it is suitable for two-dimensional bodies here. Next one is the radius of gyration. So what is the radius of gyration? It is very simple. Suppose if a body is given to us, an axis of rotation is mentioned, and if its moment of inertia is given to us, then how can we find its radius of gyration? Simply imagine that the body is changed into a circular ring of some radius k, such that the moment of inertia about its geometrical axis, that is geometrical axis of the ring, is equal to moment of inertia of this given case. Then the radius of that ring, that is k, it is known as radius of gyration. See, for example here, let us consider a uniform solid sphere is given to us, and what is a moment of inertia of that sphere about an axis passing through its center of mass? It is 2 by 5 mr square. Got it? Let us suppose that this uniform solid sphere is made into a thin circular ring. Okay, thin circular ring whose radius is k. Then what is the moment of inertia of center of moment of inertia of that circular ring about its geometrical axis? ICM equal to mk square. Okay, where k is the radius of the ring. So that k, see, the moment of inertia mk square equal to 2 by 5 mr square. So 2 by 5 mr square is the moment of inertia of the given case here. So we are making this, we are imagining that this sphere is made into a circular ring of radius k. So what is the moment of inertia of that circular ring about its geometrical axis? It is mk square. Now this mk square must be equal to 2 by 5 mr square. Okay, then this k is known as radius of gyration. So here k square by r square values are important here. For these standard cases, you have to keep in mind for problem solving. Uniform solid sphere, k square by r square equal to 2 by 5. For uniform solid cylinder or uniform circular disc, it is k square by r square equal to half. See, what is there before mr square? That value. For uniform hollow sphere, 2 by 3. For uniform circular ring, it is mr square, so 1. Okay, so this part 1 is over. Let me give you part 2.